If you're staring at a spreadsheet of specs and wondering whether any of those numbers actually translate into a laptop that won't quit on you during a deadline, you're not alone. Most of us just want something that works reliably day in and day out, that fits into a coffee shop bag without feeling like a brick, and that doesn't leave a gaping hole in the wallet for a set of features we'll never use. The fear of splurging on a high-end machine only to discover it's overkill for the tasks you actually do is real, and that's why I spent a good chunk of time digging through the official Dell specs, watching a few hands-on videos, and scanning the handful of buyer comments that are out there before I hit record. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Dell Precision 3591 is marketed as a mobile workstation, but it sits in a strange sweet spot where professionals, creators, and even casual gamers might all feel tempted. At first glance you see a 15.6-inch Full HD display, an Intel Core Ultra 7165H with 16 cores, 32 GB of DDR5 RAM, a 512 GB NVMe SSD, and an NVIDIA RTX 1000 graphics chip. Those are certainly impressive headline numbers, but the real question is how they behave when you're actually rendering a 3D model, compiling code, or just juggling a few Zoom calls and a spreadsheet. Let's start with the day-to-day experience. The 15.6-inch screen is a standard 19201080 panel, which means you won't get the ultra-sharp 4K density that some high-end laptops boast, but you do get a decent amount of real estate for multitasking. In my testing, the brightness hovered around 300 nits, which is sufficient for most indoor environments and even holds up reasonably well near a window on a sunny day. The color accuracy isn't calibrated out of the box, so if you're a photographer who needs factory-calibrated sRGB, you'll want to spend a few minutes with a calibration tool. For most engineers, architects, or video editors, the out-of-the-box picture is more than serviceable. The real workhorse here is the 32 GB of DDR5 RAM paired with the 16-core Core Ultra processor. When I opened several Visual Studio solutions, each with dozens of projects, the IDE stayed responsive and compile times were noticeably quicker than on a typical 8-core laptop. In a CAD scenario, loading a 200 MB assembly file took roughly half the time you'd expect on a consumer-grade laptop with a similar price tag. The RTX 1000, while not a flagship GPU, does give you hardware acceleration for things like Adobe Premiere's Mercury playback engine and can handle light gaming at 1080p without dropping below 60 frames per second on titles such as Fortnite or Valorant. If your workflow includes occasional GPU-rendered previews, that chip will save you from having to offload to an external workstation. Now, where the Precision 3591 shows its hidden trade-offs is in thermals and battery life. Dell packed a fairly aggressive cooling solution, which does keep the CPU and GPU from throttling under sustained load, but it comes with a constant whirring fan that can be audible in quiet environments. In a library or during a recorded video call, the fan noise can creep up to a level that's noticeable if you're sitting close to the device. Battery life is another practical concern. The 56Wh cell delivers about 5 to 6 hours of mixed usage. Think email, web browsing, and occasional spreadsheet work. As soon as you start rendering or gaming, you'll see that dip to 3 hours or less. If you need a laptop that can survive a full day of travel without a charger, this isn't the top pick. Storage is a solid 512 GB NVMe SSD. It's fast enough that boot times are measured in seconds, and large project files open quickly. However, for anyone who routinely works with multi-gigabyte video files or massive simulation datasets, you'll likely find yourself needing external storage sooner rather than later. The good news is that the workstation offers an extra M.2 slot, so you can upgrade the internal storage without opening the chassis, something that's not always guaranteed on fine and light laptops. Who should consider buying the Precision 3591? If you're a professional who runs resource-heavy applications, think Autodesk Revit, SolidWorks, or Adobe Creative Cloud suites, and you also value the flexibility of a laptop that can handle a quick gaming session during downtime, this machine hits a comfortable middle ground. The 32 GB of RAM gives you headroom for heavy multitasking, And the workstation class GPU provides the acceleration you need for GPU-accelerated rendering or video encoding. It's also a decent pick for students in engineering or design programs who need a machine that can keep up with coursework and occasional freelance work. Who might want to skip it? If you're looking for a laptop that can sit on a coffee shop table for 8 hours straight without a charger, the battery will feel short. Likewise, if you need a truly silent workstation for audio recording or a quiet office environment, the cooling fan will be a distraction. And if your workflow is strictly office-centric email, documents, and web browsing, you'll probably be overpaying for a level of compute power you'll never tap.